getting the jobs for the men, but it's also about the family dynamics that need stability and stuff. But so,
I mean, we're in a place that, meaning this building, is sustainability. You know, we have to sustain families. We have to sustain community. You know, a lot of times when we talk about democracy, we talk about it from electoral politics, electing someone, policy, but democracy starts with human beings. Sustainability starts with relationships and creating an atmosphere where young people feel worthy of themselves, where their voices do matter. That we're not just using them. You know, I hear that a lot from young people. You only want to want me around because I know how to navigate social media. You only want me around because I can maybe go rally 10 other young people that can pick up cheers. I mean, and just the social order of life, that makes sense. You know, I was just working with a group of old men, and we was when they was about to go throw some trash, like, no, let me get in there, get with them. And I ain't that young myself, but I'm damn well let these old guys go throw these heavy bags. And that's just the respect I have. So we have to introduce respect. And when we introduce respect, it creates the order where people have to pay dues. Like, people don't want to pay dues no more. You just want to go straight to the top. And I think if we create loving communities, we'll create loving human beings. But in these loving communities, we need tough love. We just don't need this I love you and blah, blah, blah. And also we have to do an assessment of our community. I mean, there are some of us who work in the system, who work for the man, or however you want to describe it. And there are some of us who probably would never be able to work for anybody because of some of the things that we went through, but they're still valuable. How do we create community jobs for them? How do we create community jobs for our children? But not based upon money, but based upon us as human beings. You know, give an example, say we all live in one neighborhood, and we all decided every week or every other week who could donate $10, $20. And this money is not for any individual, but towards the neighborhood. So say a mother who doesn't have the money to pay her rent, she comes to her neighborhood and say, I need $200 to go on my rent. Because in most cases, if a mother can't get that, either she gonna fall on hard times, or say the little cat that's selling dope, but once you come in, you can sell dope at my house to help me pay my rent. So again, these are some things that we can begin to do. Or take some of that money, we buy the lawnmowers. Get the kids in the neighborhood. Go cut everybody's grass. You know, you create your own salary for the guys. So when they clean up the yard and their friends throwing out paper, man, what you doing? I gotta pick that up. So it's a way how to get people involved in that community, how to beautify that community. But again, the emphasis is not money, but the emphasis is community involvement, community engagement. You know, also you have universities here. You know, what are their accountability to the communities? What are their weight on investing back in the community? The students there. And we get so many folks to that. So those are some of my suggestions. And also, here's like I just met her grandson, and he was like, man, I can learn a lot from you. I said, I can learn a lot from you too, bro. We have to be willing to allow young people to teach us too. And allow them to teach us, that's how we empower them. You know, because again, when you go back in time, you just remember sitting down, your grandmother and your grandfather, they was passing on jewels to you for you to lead them. Because they had walked the life that they had walked, and they was getting tired. Somebody had to carry the baton. And that's one of the problems that we face. Nobody want to. We got old folks in the neighborhood now, they don't want to pass the baton. They want to hold on to it all into their casket and pass it on somebody else then. That's too late. You know, we haven't prepared young people for leadership. We haven't prepared them to be proper fathers and proper mothers and proper men and women in our communities.
I want to give other people opportunity, but I am just so, like, every time you talk, it's like, bam, bam, bam. Things that I think about, things that I've been believing in my heart for a long time. Like, you know, the piece about poverty does not make us sell drugs. Poverty has brought us close. I come from a community, we took care of each other. there was no such thing as anybody went hungry. And that's what I try to create in this community, because that's what I know. A lot of the stuff that they're saying we need and we want and we're lacking of is stuff that we've already done. Like, I mean, the whole sustainability stuff. You want to learn how saving this earth? Find some Native Americans. They've been doing it all the time. I mean, you want to know how to build a community? Find people who come from communities that are built. And the big thing about the foundations, the underserved, they asked me to do this group and go into the underserved communities. I said, well, where they at? Where's that at? I said, because when I go into my community, I'm going to ask them to help me to do the work that I'm doing. Because one thing is for sure and one thing is for certain. They know how to survive. Absolutely. They've been doing that for a long time, since they got off the ships. So, like, I'm just so, like, blown away about the stuff that I hear you say. And those are the conversations that we need to have in this community. But I'm, like, fussing when I'm telling somebody, she said, we got to teach them people how to eat healthy. We got to get into the community. We want to do food justice. And I'm like, how you going to do food justice and you're not talking about social justice? I'm not going to see you at that meeting tomorrow. And she's not here.
Excuse me, it's functional poverty. I can pull back on this.
Go ahead.
We are poverty pimps. I work in the system. I represent 3 agencies. Today I'm representing Tommy. It's functional poverty. We're poverty pimps. We don't want people to rise up. I had to say that. I stopped.
No, that's it. Yeah, when you look at Head Start, which came out of the movement to abolish poverty. So to abolish poverty really to eliminate Head Start, to work yourself out of job. And again, I think we create things because they sound profound. Food justice, or blah blah blah, mass incarceration, prison industrial complex, prison to pipeline, new Jim Crow, all these things sound so profound, but we're losing ourselves in these slogans. You can't end mass incarceration. If you end mass incarceration and don't end black and brown oppression, what have you solved? Because mass incarceration didn't give birth to black and brown oppression. It was black and brown oppression that gave birth to mass incarceration. Mass incarceration is a tool of black oppression. When you talk about the lack of food justice in our communities, it's the lack of having education within our communities. The lack of having proper resources. Remember the conversation that John Henry Clark and Malcolm X had, and he tells it in a very funny way. And when Malcolm meets John, he says, "Oh, well, I know you're a swine eater." And he's like, "Yeah, I am. But if it wasn't for that, we'll get out of swine. A lot of us wouldn't be here, Malcolm." And he says profound. Because we needed the pig to be able to survive. Not saying we should eat it, but we used it to get us where we at. Now, if it was something else there, we would have ate that. But we have to introduce education to our community. But I swear, man, we're not in the communities, we're not on the blocks. And we have to say that everybody that can't be on the block. That may not be your strength. So how do we get people whose strengths are that? How do we prepare them and provide them that? So we are in a war. We are in a war. And anybody unfamiliar with a war, you create a board and you strategize. Where is our strategy? Where is our allies? Where is our winning and losses at? This is the concept that we don't do. We get up in uproar. Let's go protest. Again, let's go march. All you're doing is, as John Henry Clark said, you're messing up your gym shoes. Good pair of gym shoes. You haven't saw it. And not saying marching is not good, but if that's all we're doing, we haven't saw anything. And we have to stop allowing, individuals or emerging individuals as if they're everything. This cult functionality. Like for myself, people tend to want to put me on pedestals. Only pedestal I want to be on is being a human being. That's it, because I make mistakes like everybody else. I cry like everybody else. But again, it speaks to the desperation of the times. And it's so easy to say, well, you said you do it, because you're the one saying, no, we need all of us. We need each and every one of us to carry this weight. because it's not just my problem. It's all of our problems. And the more of us who engage in this, and like, Marion Kramer, back in Detroit, she had told me, like, I'm a leader for black people. She's like, no, man, you need to be a leader for white people too. This was a black woman, what she told me. And I never really thought about it until after I realized going into white environments, white communities. I'm in Central Michigan, Mount Pleasant, speaking to 400 white students. Like, what the hell? With a Black Power t-shirt on. And talking about real issues that transcend my community. Because mass incarceration is not just a black problem. Crack cocaine is not a black problem. Heroin is not a black problem. Lack of fathers is not a black problem. These are human problems that continue to happen in America, because America don't give a damn. So we have to give a damn if we want to fix America.
Well, I was just going to add, I don't know if I can talk and do this at the same time. I mean, I agree. I think also in terms of the question of what to do, I do feel like there are structural things, right, that we could be paying attention to in our respective cities, be that school expulsion and suspension policies. There's actually, I'll send you a link, there's an article, if you haven't seen it, in The Atlantic called Reparations that really tracks back. Have you seen that? And it tracks housing policies really from the time of the the first time that we arrived in the States on to today, that really demonstrates a line in terms of why we are where we are now. And so just using that as an example, I definitely agree with everything, but I also feel like we can have a role as individuals in terms of pushing for policy changes in the short term in our communities.
Again, I think all that has to be a part of a strategy, a larger strategy where folks put, because I hear a lot of, I see a lot where we top heavy on policy, or we might be top heavy in the community, but we haven't found a middle ground. Because the people in grassroots, we may not have the support. So we just out there mad, passionate, aggressive. We just, we like pit bulls out here, just getting it done. And then the folks up in the pods, they looking all nice and eating good and articulate and stuff. But we mix that together, we got a dynamite team. We got parade, we got courage, we got hope, we got articulation. We have every ingredient that's needed. And that's what I have the most profound respect for the civil rights movement, even though I disagree with the philosophy of it. But their ability to engage in civil disobedience, like we forgot what that is, what that means now. We just want to. It was civil disobedience that helped influence policies, to change policy. And so again, when we talk about banning the box, and we just challenging people, but we know politicians, they're influenced by money. And in reality, we don't have money. So they say they're voting, they represent us, but in reality, whoever paid for the campaign, yes, that's who they represent. That's the decision, whatever decision they made. So we have to up the ante. We have to up the ante in some form, some fashion. I don't know what that is. We as a community have to figure what that is.
I want to give a quick perspective on something you said. I believe sometimes we use the city, New York City, as a scapegoat. I hate to break up a harsh today with a harsh reality, but a lot of drugs are produced in Tompkins County. Okay, people don't have to go to the city. Flint, Detroit, Chicago, it's right here. And it's big business. And it's not the brother, the cat on the corner, black or white, that's making the profit. Cruise around to some of the suburbs. I just need to share that perspective. Okay?
That's a great point. And that's where the coalition of building across the bridge of black and brown and white. Because again, there's certain things in our community that we know that y'all don't know. There's certain things in the white community that you guys know that we don't know. That's information. Once we can bring information to the table, it helps us build stronger strategy. But where we fail in that, as the brother pointed out earlier, is the cultural difference between us. Like when I talk, like to some black people, like, hey, why you always? I mean, that's just how we talk. That's how black people talk. Like when I came Friday, know, somebody told you, Miller, we was arguing in the barbershop. You know, black men, we talk like we talk aggressive. We weren't arguing. We get trying to get our point across. That's what brothers do. And I remember, like, I had a white guy. He was standing over me. I ain't had no problem, but when I stood up, man, I feel threatened. But when he stood over me, I didn't feel threatened because I didn't feel threatened. And so we had to learn the cultural sensitivity to each other that helps us build relationships, understand what our boundaries are. And so, like, I know a lot of white people who want to help and creating or committing class suicide, they tend to want to hate everything white. That's not what this is about. It's just about having a profound understanding of what has happened. And even with us as black, like, we could commit class suicide. It's not about hating everything white. Because when you understand, like, the black consciousness was really just that, consciousness. It's not being black. Because we understand that we're not black like that. But speaking to who we are, politically, it had to come about to redefine and reshape who we was in America in the sense of, because we were stripped of everything, so we needed something to carry us through. That's why we talk. We talk about black power. But black power has to be more than just black power. Black power has to be something fundamentally, growing our own food, fundamentally, supporting our own merchants in our community. I mean, it was great to see the market that you guys got right in the community. How do we further support that? How do we expand that across the city? How do we teach young brothers they can do that? Because it's the same hustle. I seen they cut up a watermelon. You pay $2, $3 for it. You sell 10 slices. You tripping your money. But we don't have the patience to do it like that. You have the patience to go sell crack. But we have to understand the dynamics that come with that. The sense of power that comes with it, the sense of glorification that comes with that, the sense of the subculture that comes with that. And so that's what we have to strip them on and rebuild them. Because when I tell them, cats, the work I do, and I'm like, man, I get paid for my service. Whatever, man. Like, I don't get no less than $500. Man, for real? Crazy. And teaching, I took in, like my homeboy said in there, in the documentary, my criminal record is my resume now. My criminal record is my resume now. I mean, only in America. How funny it is, I can use my prison experience as a resume to get a job, and it makes me qualified. But if I didn't go there, would I be qualified? But it's like dead prayer, so we got to pick one system. And we got to introduce young brothers and young sisters other ways how to make money. Like I share with the cats if they want to be an author. Man, if I order 200 books, I pay about $3 a book. I sell them $15. Do the math on it. What's my profit margin? It's the same thing what they do in dope. You go buy a bunch of them, you cut it up. It's the risk and reward is totally different. You need to go get a vendor's license now. You can't worry about the police beating down your door. How do we introduce those cats to that, man? Selling T-shirts, selling buttons. I got buttons over there. Instead of going and buying the buttons, I bought my own button machine. So I manufacture my own buttons. I mean, this is the mindset that we have to have when we talk about self-determination. Of teaching people how to manufacture, not for the purpose of an individual, but the purpose of the whole community.
I regret that in some countries, religious communities, we don't have layaways. Layaways in my community taught us delayed gratification. That I may not be able to pay for those $200 Nikes today, I can save my money, but now everything is immediate gratification. Our young folks want it now. And they're uncomfortable if they can't have it now. I just want to throw that on the table. And if you open up layaways, let me know. I come and put down payment.
Dus in Ithaca, to kind of continue the conversation, there are like two things are happening or just happened. Like one is called the Building Bridges project, and as an attempt to literally build a bridge across different, to connect different life worlds. I mean, I'm assuming that's what it is, to really make people listen and understand each other's situation, so to say. But then there's also something else, and there is a prison that's being expanded, and it's 7 beds for this more than $1 million with the interest and everything. So that's like close to $200,000 a bed. And in this room, I think only, including myself, there were only 2 other people that actually came to the legislature. So we had kind of a huge failure, because everyone is against the prison, but I don't know how many people actually did the effort to go and talk to the legislators, and the legislators said, well, we only see you, so, I mean, we don't really think you represent the whole community. So they are still continuing building that prison, but we'll give some insights on how to have the source of conversations to do a structural change. Because the prison is not just about teaching people about the new Jim Crow and mass incarceration, it's also about those white people, I call them white, but whoever, the people in power who think they need more prisons and that are going to vote and ask the legislators who build more prisons. So how to have a conversation with them, or with each other to take this.
I just have to say, like, I understand, like, I know we supposed to, I was at that meeting. I try to get to every meeting. I don't see none of those people was that meeting here today. And that's what's not happening. And I think we started it in some kind of way, but we have to, everybody can't do it. My role model is Harriet Tubman. She didn't have Gmail, email, Skype, she got the job done. And so whenever I get tired, I think of her. And I think, so that's why I try to get to those places. And that's what we have to do, is just reinforce. So you can answer that for.
No, I think what you're saying are kind of alluding to what I already said. We need a strategy. And like for myself, there's a lot of meetings that happens in city council. I do not go to. For one, I already know I'm gonna cuss them out. So it's no good having me there. That's a weakness of mine. But because I'm not there doesn't mean I don't support it. But also, I may not even know about it. So that's another question we have to ask. Because if we're going off them and what they're saying, they got the information out of it. I know in Detroit, they don't get the information out. Like my neighborhood, the east part of my neighborhood, as I talked about yesterday, Henry Ford Hospital has bought up a lot of it. And they were doing a rezoning thing, and they had to go through the city council. And they didn't pass out any flyers to people to let them know, because that's part of what they're supposed to do. And I was driving through that park, and I observed everything, and I saw a board out there that said it. And mind you, on this end of this neighborhood, really nobody stays down there because they basically forced everybody out of it. So this is your way of making people aware of this. I'm driving down the street, like I'm really going to pay attention to this. And so again, those of us who are getting the information, are we bringing it back to the table? What's the purpose there? Because again, sometimes we get so lost in stuff that we'll lose ourselves, and our victories are so far in between. We have to caution what we getting into, because the fight is so grand. And then too, like it's an activist in Detroit. She does a lot of work around schools and stuff in relationship to, because we have a financial manager over our school. And so she has isolated herself from a lot of people, because she's like, man, you ain't out there on my fight. Like Phoebe said, I don't never see you in none of my fights. And that's what happens. But you haven't talked to us. You haven't created the space for us to, because I support you, I just don't have the time.
And I want to underscore that very much. Creating that space. Think about this. I know this is radical. I'm your legislator. You voted me in from your district. Why do you have to come to me if I represent you? Shouldn't those legislators have already gone to the different communities? Because that's an old game. You don't represent the people. I want to see all the people. Everybody's not going to go and find the legislator. And let's not forget underneath the iceberg. Prison is big business. Jail is big business. If I burn the house, if I want to heat the house, I burn the furniture and get rid of the prisoners back. So most people who are opposed, I think, to not coming up with alternatives, they want to just be a big prison, ask them, who do you work for? Where is that paycheck coming from? To me, it's all about power and money. If you tell those legislators, Tommy Miller suggested, they know me, they need to go to the community. If they represent the community, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I got two questions here.
Okay. This is changing the subject. But it's back to your experience in Ithaca in the last few days. I'm so grateful that you're here. And putting you on the spot perhaps, but just from what you've been exposed to, I guess I want to ask, what do you think? Do you, I mean, not, here we sit, a handful of folks, and probably everyone in this room is working hard in one way or another, whether they went to the meeting, that meeting, or whatever, but working hard toward social justice in this community.
What I think you guys have some committed people. I think there's an illusion in this city that everything's okay. Created this false reality because it's easy to do in America. And so when you have a small city like this, it actually becomes like a drug, and you lose yourself in there. Because I've heard some things in relationship to other areas, and like as if they're in heaven. And I think again, a lot of that, relationship to black people. When we look at the number game, or black and brown people in the number game, we're outnumbered in a city like this. And the power dynamic, when we talk about the power dynamic and white people helping, are you guys really helping? And that's the question that you have to ask. And in relationship to those who are doing this work, because I know in Detroit, and doing this work, it's hard. It's hard to do this work, and I'm grateful you guys bringing me out here, so you refuse me. So there's other young brothers out here that's doing the same type of work. What are we doing to support them? But also, I'm mindful, I'm talking about myself. Like, I get a lot of pats on my back saying how great I am. And the reality of it is, it may be only 3 that really mean it. And if I listen to all 10, I can lose myself in that. And I think I'm better than what I really am. And a lot of us need training. A lot of us need development. A lot of us need further skills. And I'm speaking for myself. And so a lot of times, guys don't look at that's, as Carl Taylor said, I'm trying to get better every day. But how many of you guys are helping those young brothers, those young sisters to get better? But also those young brothers and young sisters have to be willing to get behind somebody to get there. So it's a give and take situation. So what I am is nothing but a tool, or have been nothing but a tool for things that you guys are already doing, and helping construct that and representing that just like a mirror. It's bouncing back to you guys. So I think fundamentally looking at the real issues here in Ithaca. I mean, I think Ithaca can be a reflection of white America. When we look at the relationships of black people overall in America, we represent about between 12 and 13% of the population. So when you look at the number games like that, so that's what Ithaca look like. So as the power dynamic, black people have no power in this country. So where's the power for black and brown people? What are you guys doing helping to change that dynamic and change and hopefully this can be a model that can like Detroit, where it's a city that's 85% black but has no power. So how do you guys can be an anchor supporting that city and so on and so forth? So we talk about social movement, social justice. In particular, you guys may not face some of the things that we face in urban cities. So that's great. That means you guys can start doing some other things and create the spaces or invite other folks here to come and participate in that conversation as a way to, I don't know, because, you know, like going down south in the 50s and 40s, you was able to go down there and get trained up and then be sent on your way throughout the country. You know, Ithaca can be that spot to help reignite a movement.
We got the Gaddafi Institute that's supposed to do that work. We got it. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And Monica?
This is also a little bit of a shift back, and I've been listening so closely to what you've said. I'm trying, I like it. You've been recording it, which is great, because I like to just keep hearing it again, and there's a lot to take in. So just a piece that I'd love to hear maybe some more stories about is the boots on the ground piece,
Right.
and in particular, that incredible phrase about put the neighbor back
Put the
in.
neighbor, okay.
Yeah, like how? What do you do?
I mean, putting the neighbor back in the hood or restoring the neighbor back in the hood is us being neighborly with each other. It's that simple. It's saying that every member of our community means something. Every life in our community is worth something. You know, because the disparity in our community comes out of the fact that I don't feel valued in my community. When such and such son can get murdered and Channel 2 or 4 News can be there, when my son get murdered, no one's there. I mean, that's a double murder. Because I hurt too. I feel that pain. I mean, there's no one I can go to and say, I need $10 to do this and that. I mean, this is what we have to create in the community. And so the boots on the ground part is out here learning our community, engaging our community, create a survey. Talk to people. And we have to stop setting ourselves up for failure as if everything that we do, we need 100 people to do it. We do not need 100 people. We may only need 5 good people. And we get 5 good people, then we can build up to 100 people. Like the Black Panther Party had a 10-10 plan. You bring in 10 people to go bring in 10 more people. But it's a process, though. We didn't get this way overnight. So we ain't going to get out of this situation overnight. And what people respect and how people are impacted by being real, being authentic, and what you're trying to do. And, you know, I remember we watching a video of Fred Hampton, and he was talking about the free breakfast program, which was, you know, some would consider a communist program, some would consider it a socialist program, and as the FBI would come in and they would try to use those terms, especially doing that, to be considered communism was like a terrorist during that time. And so it was a scare tactic. And the people in the community were like, okay, all right, it's a communist program, okay. But if you take this program away from my family, I'm